Okay, right off, I just want to talk about the ban phase. So, oh shoot, who was it that finished the ban
Yeah.
phase?
The final ban gonna be coming in
Final
now.
ban came out from Tempo Storm. Okay, so this was a TSM map pick. First off, to ban is Tempo Storm. They're gonna get rid of the Thatcher. Thatcher's a pretty strong ban right now. He's very meta ban. Since the current meta is so heavily focused on utility, and Thatcher is basically able to brainlessly get rid of utility. So that's gone. Maverick almost kind of stacking on top of our ban, and that's TSM's choice. And if I recall, TSM chose this map first, so we expected to see a bit more out of TSM on this. It went on to ban Mira. Mira, very understandable ban. Lots of teams, they don't really play against her or practice against her, so they feel much safer banning her. It's that she changes up the way the game is played more than anything else. And then Wamai getting
Tempo, and
banned,
it's
not a
gonna be
huge surprise.
Wamai taking him out of
Wamai
the
is able
pool.
to
I'm
provide
very
a lot
surprised
in
actually with the
just his
Wamai ban coming.
shield. He has a shield. He has the magnets, able to catch a lot of grenades.
In instead of the Jaeger ban, just because Jaeger
Let's
can
go
burn.
ahead. We already see
Potentially
our
cover
ban
more area where
phase.
where Jaeger's
So we're gonna pretend like we don't see the sixes. This is the pick. This is the lineup. Get rid of soft breaches, basically for utility to watch the flanks. There are, between the basement and the top floor now, a total of like 3 staircases. So TSM doesn't feel like they need to do the default hard breach on default site. The map has just been added to professional play because it's no longer called Pro League. It's now called different leagues depending on which region, and this is the NA, so it's NAL now. And it's just the fact that certain walls are so important. If they get opened up, they almost tear apart the site. So it is extremely valuable to protect those walls, and getting rid of them makes it so much easier. Wait, we're in Oregon. This is not Clubhouse. So we thought we were gonna see the Monty, but instead they swap over to Kali, and that just means that Bolo's been practicing with Kali a lot. Now, of course, we're probably not going to see the sniper rifle used as the primary. What's most likely is going to be the SMG is going to be used as the primary, just because it's far more versatile. It's an automatic gun. It's got 20 rounds in it, much better. However, the Monty could help quite a lot. It just makes pushing longer corridors a lot easier, safer, and of course, it brings the smokes. On the other side, on Tempo Storm, starting on the defensive half, and since this is a new map, that means we're going to see much more defender-sided wins, even if it's not a defender-sided map. And already people are speculating that it is going to be a defender-sided map. And when I say people, I mean other analysts, other coaches. That's what we're kind of thinking. A lot of pro players are saying the same thing. Hard breach, very important in the newest iteration of Oregon, or is it just as important as it was before? I would say it's probably more important now because it's not as easy to just cut off sightlines with smokes anymore, since there are more operators to cut off those sightlines as smokes now. Because you have Maestro bulletproof cameras, any operator that carries a bulletproof camera. You still have the operators that you had before that gather intel, such as Pulse, but now you also have Warden thrown into the mix, making smokes not as effective as a way to stop people from moving around. Smokes just aren't as safe as they were before. And plus, since then, Glass has been nerfed. A whole slew of reasons, but that's why we don't really see the return of the smoke plant meta. And during the last Monday or yesterday, we saw a lot of uses of Ying and then being directly countered by Warden, and that's really the only time you're going to see Warden when you see the Ying being brought, because she has the smoke, she has the Candelas, just overwhelming force with those two things. Can't wait to see the Chonka meta. I can't wait to see when they rework Chonka 2. It's probably going to come next season. That's just wild speculation. I don't have any reason to think that, nor do I have any insider knowledge on that, just based off of what Ubisoft showed us since Siege Invitational 2020 and what we're expecting. And what they showed early on makes us think that it's almost gonna make smoke almost irrelevant, because Tachanka's LMG is just a harder hitting SMG 11. Proximity alarms are allowed. They're definitely allowed since they're new this season. It's the operators that get quarantined, so the newest operators are not allowed. They can't use Malusi, nor can they use Ace. If they were able to use either of those two, you'd probably see them a lot more often, especially Malusi, with how strong she is. She's undeniably strong, and anyone that says she's not strong doesn't really understand why. And it's a whole slew of reasons. She's 3 speed, she has C4s, she has a gadget that is bulletproof and slows an area in effect almost like Clash does, right? And there are 3 of them, and they have a very large area. It works in several ways too. Um, it's an intel gadget too at the same time. Yeah, she has C4s and impacts. So it's able to garner a lot of intel because when it goes off, you hear it going off. Makes a lot of noise, and she is 3 speed. Yes. Not only that, but she also has a pretty decent SMG. In the T5. I forget what they call it in game. They don't quite call it the T5, but counterpart is the T5.
ADSs might not be able to cover all of the areas that you need to try and block off in a certain site.
So I'm not sure whether about the Kaid. They showed the pulse first off, and they were showing the Kaid. Maybe just to make them think that they were going basement first. Really awkward to play in right now, and if you are going to use it, yes, Leeson's SMG is the T5. If they're going to play in basement, it is quite awkward. Teams are still figuring out how to play it, and personally, I feel like people are going to figure out it might not be the strongest site, or it might be the 3rd site you want to go to. I am quite surprised though to see that people are trying to force a lot of meeting and kitchen. I think that kitchen and dining is more powerful for different reasons. It's much more of a turtle area, and they definitely would attack from small tower every time. You might not be able to deny them, but I feel like it would play a lot better. But we'll have to see. So, with the Kaid and the Pulse being shown, keep in mind the 6-pick, they can't see what they swap out. But with those two, it would make them think they're going to push down below. So that might be why they're putting so much into the Kali. Maybe, I don't know, but they do kind of need some sort of way to get past the electricity and other denial. So Kali is best choice here, honestly, because Maverick and Thatcher were taken out of the picture, and unfortunately, we still don't have another.
Like, so maybe that's the reasoning behind it and why they've chosen to get rid of him instead of a Jaeger. By the way, though, we're going to be starting off on kids for the first round, and the first round is get started right now. So let's take a look at it. As Tempo is going to be on defense first here upstairs.
Well, we got something similar from what we've been.
Okay, I just want to point out. So first off, they're reinforcing here, on old, kind of reinforce in the middle or whatever. But because of the way of these shelves here or these bunk beds, it kind of creates cover. Good spot in this area right here. And the thing is, if you open up a hole where I have circled here, you can easily get a line of sight in there. Whereas most teams have found that you're going to put your rotates in this square box here. Ideally, where you want to make your rotates, you don't want to make them on the left side on circle here. It's just a bad idea. It opens up to very strong and power position. And you can still have a rotate here. Plants, there are many other ways. Over here, over here. But yeah, there's no reason to open that up. If they are, I generally consider it a mistake. And
Been seeing today. We've
we'll
got
see how they
TSM bringing out the
plays
Collie. We've seen this in both leagues. And we saw quite a creative rush earlier on this.
So double reinforcement here. That's just to make sure that there isn't 4 ways to look through trophy here. When I say trophy, I mean this room right here. Notify that with a small circle in the middle. Because you're able to get, let's say, a line of sight through attic, through here. Line of sight through attic here, through here, here. There's 4 ways to look at it. If someone gets stuck in here or is trying to rotate through sight, then they're gonna just get destroyed. So they're gonna reinforce here. I've been theory crafting on different ways on how to play this out, so that way you only have tree and still put it in the advantage of the defenders, but it's only temporary, and I'm thinking that maybe placing a castle barricade here, opening up this wall, might be the way to go about it, but we'll have to see how things play out. Once again, the meta is still forming. We're still figuring out how Kelly will definitely be playing inside up and close. There aren't a lot of ways to it and otherwise. Bulletproof shield. So with the deployable shield, you could place it in there. It's more as a way to prevent. You could place it in there, put some ADSs too, that might work. But once again, you still get a very long angle that comes all the way across and through, because keep in mind this is elevated over here. So that might not be ideal for whoever's playing in here.
Specific site as well in earlier European games. I want to see if this follows suit with what they're able to bring to the table with that.
Okay, so I didn't notice this on my first watch through. They're actually reinforcing down here in the meeting hall. I think that is it's definitely just to prevent some sort of rotations of the enemy team, but how exactly, I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's just to prevent a line of sight on the stairs, so whoever's playing up and down the stairs or rotating around a lot safer, or as you're coming to rotate on them, you only have to worry about one angle. You don't have to worry about meeting at all. I'm not quite sure. I think it's interesting, and we'll have to see
what's going to be brought
why.
up. But for now, all reinforcements being placed, a little bit of defensive is going to be placed
around it
into
in some way. I didn't notice this before either, but they reinforced down here, and I think that's mostly just to create choke point. So usually on Old Oregon, people would come into kitchen in order to shotgun out the top, usually a buck. So we'll do a little B here, and if there's only one way for buck to come in efficiently, then it makes it that much easier to take him out. You don't have to worry about him, essentially.
Inside of meeting right there, so we're more likely to see
Makes it
Tempo
harder for him to
play out
rotate
some of it.
through.
Creators, of course, going to work himself downstairs on the pulse. Will more than likely be sticking around here, at least for the early round. He's going to go for a little bit of intel, but just trying to...
He's gonna barricade off blue, just to make sure he doesn't get pushed. However you decide to call it. He's just going to be gaining
walk off
probably
the tunnel access first before he does that. He will head back upstairs to start playing into a better position for himself, as he'll be scanning out from T2, spotting the 3 players working their way out of spawn now. 4 players, excuse me, as TSM has just spawned their actual operators.
Okay, well, it looks to be a tower push here for TSM, so very reminiscent of the old Oregon. Take that big tower, work your way across attic, then try and deal with the utility along the way. So, doing good on time, obviously, but they do have creators downstairs on the defense.
So a lot of teams have been finding
like
that one of the easiest ways is to push from big tower. Once you have big, then you're going to get control of some to pinch on the main site.
With these rotations,
whether this turns out to be a kill everyone or
they'll move in pretty quickly though and get access to T2. No defensive assets being placed here at the moment. Callie is going to be utilized to quickly block out the wall and look to get things open so that they can have added access to start swinging over towards the site. TSM moving very fast.
You can't really Callie trick, because if you throw the Callie on it while you're trying to thermite, the Callie will destroy the thermite
not
charge.
even waiting for the wall to explode. They're going to send Merc and Geo back outside.
So keep that in
mind.
mind.
Outer attic push where they can now try to break open the window at top main stair.
Trying to
This is such a fast rotation for TSM. You can see they already had a chief set up over here as well, so they're going to be going for that master wall. This is what the setup's going to be for TSM. Push to the attic, get control of that area so they can get a plant down inside of games, but might be in some trouble now.
Okay, Tempo takes out Merc, but we don't see where. Oh, he was on the repelled window. So right here, he's just playing whether it's in games. Maybe he was over here or here, or where he is still right now. Takes him out on the window. Now you gotta ask yourself, why was he up on this window? So if we place an operator up on this window, is able to get a line of sight all the way through towards attic. He can clear out games, and it just makes it that much harder for anyone to rotate through. That can get anyone that's playing in the lower attic area. This is lower attic below the steps. It'll catch them out if they're trying to rotate out, and then net you a free kill, or get them stuck there so then they can just rush in and kill them. So this is a fairly important pick for Tempo Storm to have made. And I can see why that position is pretty strong and why they want to get someone up on there.
Still quite a few Tempo players spread out as well here. Two more, excuse me, probably need to be pulled back soon, but thankfully with the man advantage, there's not going to be a huge rush to do that. We do see a little bit of action starting as an air jab is tripped upstairs just outside of master bedroom. That's going to lead to the near death of Chala. However, he responds and takes out Mark in the process. We now have creators and a few other members of Tempo Storm trying to pinch the T1 up into T2.
He just destroyed an air jab.
Very good intel here from creators. Sloppy's trying to make a move. Chala on very low HP. Crazy's going to be the first one to peek. It's the 81.
Hey, Britt. Thank you for the follow.
bullet machine, and a headshot for him as TSM is quickly falling behind here. 1 minute and 3 seconds left.
Okay, so I just want to go back just a little bit.
He's going to be the first one to peek. It's the 81 bullet.
So here's a little tip. If you notice the way this is reinforced, this is the soft side, right? On the other side is the hard side. If you place your Maestro Cam on the soft side and I take a shotgun to it in the surrounding area around it, I can actually destroy the Maestro Cam. I don't know if it's intended or a bug, but just to improve the setup just a little bit, they should be reinforcing from the attic side towards Trophy. That way, it's that much harder to get rid of that Maestro Cam. Just a little thing, but every single advantage you want to take. I do save these VODs. We can definitely talk about how much tempo has improved since last season. I just saw your ad. It's night and day. Tempo used to be a bottom middle team, but with Tempo's performance here, I think they have a very good shot at being a top 4 team. I wouldn't say top 3, but I definitely say they're a top 4 team. They could be top 3. I don't know. So there's always like the big 3 or big 4 in NA, and it's been this way for a long time. Rosters change, but usually you have like the same core people, and there hasn't been big fluctuations. Maybe they bring in some new gunners and inject them, but it's not a huge roster change. And right now, the current top 3 easily would have to be SSG, who won SI 2020, which makes them the world champions, the current world champions. Then we have vying for second is TSM and Dark Zero. Both of them are able to take each other on a good day or a bad day. Personally, I think TSM is a little less consistent. That's why I would say they probably earned the 3 spot a bit more than anything. But with moving Pojuman back to being their coach, I think TSM has a strong vie for actually being the second strongest team in NA. Mostly because I like Pojuman, but I think he just does better as a coach. And if I recall, that's when they brought Geo in, and Geo is just an amazing support hard breacher. Whatever role he's playing, he's very good at it, and we see he's been put on the hard breach. So I see that as just a straight improvement. And then Dark Zero usually second or third, the most strategic, most big brain, as you would say, out of all of them. And then for fourth, we have Oxygen. And depending how Oxygen does, or previously Reciprocity in the past, before that C9, how they do, we'll see. But depending on how they do, they may or may not still be the 4th best team. Tempo could definitely steal that from them. And actually, after their close performances, while they lost 0-2 to TSM overall, they were very close games. We'll see. I think Oregon goes 5-7, I want to say. It might go into overtime. I don't remember exactly. Either that or it was the next map that they play that went into overtime. But it was definitely close. Gotta go, though. Gonna watch them VOD on the channel later. Okay, bye, Brett. TSM has issues with time management and sometimes takes them too long to adapt to their opponent. Like, they will lose several rounds, get their footing, and yeah, definitely. They're very much a clutch team, almost very flashy. I think definitely Oxygen has a chance to be upset for 4th best. I don't know if they'll ever play against each other, though, in the new way that things work now.
But it seems that one's already crossed an initial sprint from TSM.
So right here, they decided to do an attic push and then pushing from bed. That way they're sort of pinching on toward, which I would believe lends toward trying to plant over in the old generator area, which is now a games room. Some people who have been around or played competitive back when Oregon was in the map pool still often called generator or games generator. And some people are getting used to that still. So
Temple Storm's trying to find something
quite
here.
funny.
Working their way up
They have a cheat here pushing from white stairs. That's just to knock anyone out that's playing in a very tough or anchored position.
Oh, another one placed, but he's shifted. Is it going to be enough? No, it won't. Not even any damage onto Dream. Just a little bit here, but he does still have the nitro cells they're trying to delay.
So Dream just happened to dodge those grenades
having the
twice.
attack there from TSM, just not able to make the impact on the kid stairs they were looking for achieve. We'll have to try and find that from other means.
So unfortunately, their attic push kind of fizzled out, and they gained control. Steve loses the fight on the stairs, and it's just down to these two. It's going to be very difficult for them to coordinate together in order to be able to take this win here. But if they are, what Geo would need to do is kind of run in here, go prone, and watch this, while allowing Bolo to, I think, post up somewhere on this door, prevent them from rotating through here, and catch them if they try to push. Once Geo gets the kill, assuming they know the exact positions of all of them, they might not know the position of one of them, but they know the position of at least one in here and one over here. But with that much information, that's kind of almost all they need. Once Geo takes him out, he can go for the plant right here and let things play out. But once again, that depends on knowing the information. So Bolo playing on there, Geo needs to push up a bit more. Bolo's able to take one, but he gets refragged.
The marks for TSM. Geo is going to try to change that, but it won't be enough.
Because Bolo dies, Geo's not able to
Tempo, and they
hold
successfully
his
defend
position.
kids for the first round.
People forking him.
Tempo's defense is so quick to rotate. As you guys could see, they took attic control right after TSM gave it up.
Once again, keep in mind, this is a new map to the map pool.
I'm going to assume either had a camera
new maps
or had
are always
some
defender
intel
sided
in order to know
off
that
the
they
bat.
rotated. Might be even the
It's
noise
just the way
outside
the
of
game
attic.
works.
Did retake that and then take down Charlo inside a big tower. It shut down their pinch altogether. TSM no longer had anywhere to go. They tried to force in through Trophy, and that just did not work.
Really great proactive defense from Tempo Storm, which, as you said, denies TSM at most of their entry opportunities. Some slight success trying to move in through attic at the initiation of the push and in the eventual push that would come from master bedroom. But besides that, it was quickly traded out and stopped before it could.
Okay, let's talk about the lineup
as
real
you said,
quick. So I don't think they 6-pick at all. They go to laundry room. A lot of people are speculating that laundry room will become the meta site. I don't think so. Top floor is definitely going to become the meta site. It's just a lot stronger, plays a lot better, flows a lot better. Made it overall easier to attack, but also easier to defend at the same time. It's kind of a weird change in the way it flows, and it just flows a lot better and can lead to different playstyles. So here, once again, we see Bolo sticking on Kali. They clearly been practicing him on Kali, just because Thatcher is getting banned so often now, and getting banned very often past season or so, and just now has it really ramped up to being an auto ban. It used to, of course, be Jackal. If you're still banning Jackal in ranked, I think that's a huge mistake. Maybe as a solo player, it makes sense just because he's able to hunt you down if you're a roamer. But for most people, that doesn't really affect you. He's not as powerful as he used to be. He still needs a little bit of ringing in, but he's in a much better state than he was. But Thatcher is the one you're going to want to ban just because it makes defending a whole lot easier. Able to just get rid of swaths of electronics.
Denies TSM at most of their entry opportunities. Some slight success trying to move in through attic at the initiation of the push and in the eventual push that would come from master bedroom. But besides that, it was quickly traded out and stopped before it could find any more forward momentum. That's going to be a really successful round one for Tempo Storm, and they follow that right through into the basement. We're going to have to see now if they can continue that a lot more.
Okay, crazy places. A mute jammer.
That's going to be a really successful round one for Tempo Storm, and they follow that right through.
Here on this washing machine, that's nothing new. That's just to be able to block drones from being able to go down the laundry stairs. But if you bring a drone on the very edge, it should still stay safe. At least that's how it was on Old Oregon. I don't know if that's still the case.
Into the basement. We're going to have to see now if they can continue that. A lot more open room on this site for the attackers to try and play off of. Potentially more of the map that they can get access to at the beginning as well. That, however, will be dependent on how Tempo Storm chooses to play their defense here.
If they go down on the floor. Okay. So the way we see it playing out here, they have a rotation here. They're most likely going to put a shield up here. I think that's what they end up doing. They put a shield here and a shield here, both Goyo shields. That way they can pop them as they're retreating. And that way they can pocket a reinforcement and seal this up just to make it that much harder for the attackers to push through. If you just leave it sealed up and they bring a Kali or something similar, or even if a Maverick slips through, they're going to be able to pop this open easily, and then it splits your site in half and puts it in favor of the attackers. So this right here specifically is going to be something that we see quite often, regardless of what team is playing this map on this site specifically. This is pretty much go-to. You have to put a rotation through here. Now, how much teams are going to invest into the tarps room, construction area, whatever you call it, I'm going to call it tarps, is dependent on the team. Some may put a lot of utility in, some might not. mostly because the choke point in this room is just going to be that door, and it's easier than having to deal with a split push through here, or even through the electrical closet. It just makes it easier to deal with people coming through here.
I don't want to call it too early just because it is the first round and this is a new map. So, but tempo is looking very, very good. It feels to me that they're almost as flexible as water.
So something you'll notice is a lot of teams are reinforcing just this left panel. That's in order to prevent someone who's on the flight of stairs from tower being able to get a line of sight on anyone through the doorway or anything similar. Not as concerned as someone playing through this doorway, just because it's easier to go wide on them. Whereas when you're up here, the only way you can peek them is through here, and that leaves you exposed to here too. So to deal with people who are coming through here to get that angle. And while you're going wide, someone can see you from the stairs for just a split moment. But if you go really wide, I mean, you're not hugging this pillar at all, then you're good.
Or TSM punches it and they just go right around. So let's see if they can continue this on this downstairs site.
This wall reinforced as always, just to prevent a very long line of sight once again. Especially since there are several areas that might become default. This, I would say, is easily the most default area. The only problem is if there's a smoke and you throw your toxic babe on the ground here, it's going to go out and prevent you from being able to plant there. Here, not such a safe place to plant either, just behind stairs area. They could see you all the way from closet area or even the laundry rotate here. There's just not really anywhere that's good. This is almost a no-go because if you have someone over in freezer, that cuts off that line of sight entirely, all the way up to this area. You can't even plant back here. I believe you're still able to get a line of sight. They just tighten it up. So the only plantable area becomes this spot on the site now. A very different
Setup looking fairly standard as far as the
way to
basement
play
defense
this,
is
plant
concerned
it
for tempo here. No
since,
players roaming
the
up and
rework.
about on the first floor to set themselves up just yet, so we may see things a little bit more pulled back than it was in the previous round, at least to start. We'll, of course, keep our eyes on that. The most proactive defense there was crazy, but I think he was just going to set up a mute jammer. He's already returned back downstairs to continue following through with that task. So much more close to the chest strategy this time here for tempo. And again, just leaving the smoke at this point. Dream out over there at the freezer stairs to watch for any initial action. Speaking of which, we do have that now from TSM, as Merc, supported by at least one player on drone, is going to start pushing his way in, already making his way past the kid stairs as well here.
So I don't know how many of you have seen Reaper Rian. He's another analyst. He already suggested that most teams will resort to turtling just because of how much manpower it takes to be able to hold all the areas down in the basement. I would agree. At most, you might see one, maybe two roamers. One is kind of risky. It doesn't lead into a lot of team play. That one roamer is kind of off on their own. Two roamers is basically the magic number that people want to take, but it leaves the site very vulnerable, especially to a construction push. So most teams will never have to do a full clear. At most, what you might need to do is get a few pre-placed drones by the stairs in order to make sure that there's no one moving around up top. All you got to do is say, okay, there's one reinforcing hatch, and if they go back down, perfect, you're fine, that's great. So you got a drone kind of watching this doorway here, and then another in the main lobby. It could just be outside the double door. You just got to watch those stairs. And then one more over in Big Tower just to make sure that when they reinforce, they go back down. If they don't go back down and there's one roamer, then it takes time to hunt them down. And that's when you wish you had brought a Jackal because this is a relatively large map.
Security in the process.
You still have eyes
Merc with
on
a lot
each
of control.
stair,
Good
so you
drone
know
game
if
here
they
from
went
TSM
up
with
top
that early
or if they
intel. You can see
didn't.
Geo and Bolo
They
as they do
didn't,
the
then
rounds,
you're
and
good.
Merc's going to add on as well. So they should have this mid floor cleared
And
pretty
you just
early
need
on
to
here.
hunt
But
them
you guys heard
down
John
on the
saying before,
mid-roam.
Tempo's set up for a
On
complete
mid-floor.
downstairs hold. Always have creators getting a little wily inside of Big Tower, but doesn't have to worry for the time being, as there is no presence inside of meeting.
Yeah, every once in a while we see a bit of
That's why you'll notice it's only a minute in, they're already starting to move down. They've made their quick drone clears. There isn't a whole lot to do if you leave the drones in the right spot. Oregon historically has always lend itself to this. There are a lot of good drone placements that you can put in order to make sure that you catch the roamers before they even start roaming and figure out where they are.
aggression thrown out on the stairs, but that's about it. Definitely no roaming game this time here. We are going to see, however, Merc get a little bit scared out as the floor comes out from above him. He will not have to worry about
I'd
that
also
too much.
agree, though,
We
if
see
they're
the
going to
rest
go
of the team moving in
basement,
there, now just
there
trying
is
to block
very
off
little
the
chance
stairwells,
that
at
they're
least
going to
that
be
back freezer
roaming
stairs, and
early
we'll get that
game.
picture that no one
Late
attempts to
game, they
roam
might
on
try
the
to roam
backside.
up and
Will more
out
than
and
likely be stopped. As you
around
can see,
the
pretty
site,
hard, both in the area.
but
Able to
I
put
don't
past
think
it.
we're going
Now
to see a
baiting
lot
out
of
at least one
roaming
smoke charge from
on
shooting
this
down below
map,
there.
or at least not see it
Still need
become
to get this
meta.
hatch open for freezer, but the troublesome part is that they only have one hard destructor. So having Geo be the solo hard destructor here means they can only get a maximum of 2 hatches open, but they're expending a lot of utility. You guys can see Bolo's already out of those makeshift
With how
hatches.
important
They
the
can't
walls
really
are,
name them right now,
I
but
think
Officer's
it
sniper
might be a
rifle
good
in order to
idea
get
to
that
bring two
electrical,
hard
i.e. the
breachers,
electro claw on the
Habana
hatch.
and
Now they can get some hatches, though. They can finally get some pressure onto site, but they have to burn
if
through all
Maverick
of this
gets through,
utility.
then we can
Those
bring
ADS is still
Maverick
set up inside of freezer
instead
hall.
of a Thermite.
Although trying to drone himself in here towards the
we
tunnels.
definitely want
a
Habana
play
just in
opportunity
case
will
they
present itself.
use
TSM a
hatches.
lot of split under a minute now to make this play and start the defusal plant, but they haven't really come close to even starting the execute yet. A big rotation from the majority of the team is going to put 3 of them outside of the tunnel push through construction now.
So changing the way they push in order to take this side, I would say that you always need to get tower control, so there's always going to be someone pushing down tower. That's something you have to go worry about. Now the question is, are they going to do a kitchen, sorry, not kitchen, a freezer push, or if they're going to do construction push? Already they wasted a lot of time. This is going to prevent them from being able to push through tarps properly. You pop that off, you pop this off, you reinforce, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about that. Now they're forced to funnel through here, which means they're forced to funnel through the pillar room, and all you got to do is hold your angles on them, and everything is bright and cheery. Now, if you notice, they are missing one person on there, and that's because they might be trying to pull off something in the backside. But
Sloppy is here on the Goyo with a rotate hole opened up, looking to get into the way. There's quite a few barricades. The Nitro Cell charge rings out, but does not connect as much as damage as he would have liked, at least. Sloppy now going to try to swing, playing behind the Goyo shield, detonating one and getting some good damage off on a Merc, but ultimately having to fall back for the next shield now. Great job at wasting time, though. We're at 10 seconds remaining here. They are trying their best to push in. Bolo's going to get us started once more.
There's not really time to reinforce at this point, because it's last second. But unfortunately, people are out of place. They're not watching them come in.
Take out Sloppy opens just a small avenue for the attempt at the plant. Is it going to be enough for them to get it onto the ground, though? Yes, it seems as though it was. Geo will attempt the plant.
Geo's trying to plant in a very unprotected space, so if Crazy is able to just get wide enough, get through Merc, or even get Merc and Geo at the same time, that's it and over. Chalo's holding the back line, making sure that no one's trying to swing wildly through here or even down the hallway onto them. So Chalo's doing his job. Merc is in a much more stressful situation because if he loses his gunfight and doesn't take Crazy out right away, that's it right there. And it's very possible that Crazy is able to just
Mark is going to try and swing in.
thread the needle and stop him, but
Crazy
he's too late on it.
He's going to move in for the next one and
So
find
now
the trade on his
Crazy's gotta
Geo.
look for
But the
the
problem
kills.
is he's stuck in a 1v3 scenario, and he doesn't have good post-plant intel. Wild Nitro Cell thrown out by him, but eventually his run is going to come to an end. Merc finishes him off, and TSM take round number 2.
Well, it was dire for TSM, but they were quick to fix the situation. Only had 33 seconds left as they came downstairs onto construction and then just blew onto site. That was really it. Upstairs, they got thwarted from the hatches. Really good electro claws from the defense to slow down that push. It seemed like TSM was going to have a lot more control early on, but they had to eventually shift all the way over to construction. I'm still very surprised that they were able to accomplish that. There seemed to be so much utility set up for construction. They had Goyo shields, still had reinforcements set up, so many lines of sight to worry about, but TSM was still able to get around it. Great round from them.
Gotta give props there to Bolo for marking the first entry to get them into it. Second round in a row, he's tried to do that first team out, obviously with limited success in the first round, but things looking much, much better there on the second round. So he opened up a great opportunity for them, but the rest of the team having a hold in the midst of the site. They get that plant down.
Tempo's going to try and run it back. They think it's probably a fluke that they won. I might agree, and it's mostly just Tempo being out of position. If Tempo was in a better position to receive their rush, they would have definitely won. In the last 30 or so seconds, I would say that you need to consolidate. They had 2 people in the freezer area, one around here, one around here. Get one over here, and if you have a rotate hole here, which I suggest a lot of teams do, then push them out and through. Maybe they can hold the hallway, that we have that long angle or something. But they're the only people that should be in freezer should be either tucked in over here deep, or nothing. Unless they're doing a freezer side push, then you're still able to answer through here and here, right? But overall, you shouldn't have anyone in those last seconds, 25 seconds or so.
Hall is the main
Still
area you want to be. You want to
freezer
that
except
you just
for
saw Sloppy
one,
reinforced
but that's
inside of
close to the
security,
freezer door.
and then
They're
try and pressure
practically
out anyone
in
playing
the
deep inside
basement
of freezer
hallway.
to get that main double wall to gain access to A. That seems to be the main course for a lot of
Crazy
teams right
changes
now on
it
this
up.
site. But
If we notice, here's one change that they make. It's kind of out in the corner.
that main double wall to gain.
We can see it just out of the corner here. Is reinforcing. Last round they might have popped it open and rushed through, and that's what they're trying to prevent. So just small adjustments are what they're making.
That seems to be the main course for a
Tempo
lot of
seems
teams
to
right now
favor
on this site.
reinforcing
But
that. I kind of disagree. I think that this site is far more it's more horizontal. It's just as horizontal as it used to be, but it changes axis. And what I mean is, it used to be horizontal way, right? It was people pushing in through the main stairs, or they were pushing in through the construction area. Construction was usually much more of a rush, though. But now I think it's more important that the defenders be able to hold it this axis, on this horizontal axis. They hold it horizontally, and that freezer is far more important than most people think it is.
This is TSM, as we saw before. If one thing doesn't work, they're definitely going to try something else, and they are not afraid to die for the cause.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. We saw TSM push the areas they did. Those are the more segmented areas of the basement, where if attackers do get control of it, just, kind of looking at the map layout, it's going to be very difficult for a defender. As long as all appropriate flanks are being watched, it's going to be very difficult for one to try and swing back in and take back that control. So that's why you see, as you were mentioning, areas like construction and that freezer hatch be the common areas for teams to go to at the start, at least in this case, from what we saw in that first round for TSM. TSM going to go back to a little bit of pressure here in the tower, however, to start out the third round. Saw a bit of this back on round number 1, and here they're going to try and get their initial intel from the spot on the map as well.
Very similar setup here for Tempo Storm, if not a spinning image of it, but instead...
Grid is able to take Merc out. Not sure what Merc is really doing.
It's Merc
No one
all.
else is
So
set up
second
yet.
time for him. First blood creators with the kill. We're getting a little bit too aggressive down big tower stairs, and it seems to be that TSM just wants to try and go head up with construction this time.
Biggest creators is just
trying to
able to win
finagle
that
Freezer at all.
gunfight.
Bolo,
He is
Chala, and
they're both
Gio
in
all pour
cover.
into big tower.
It
As
could
Sledge
go either
brings
way,
up the rear.
50-50.
So the
It
entire
really
squad of
just
TSM
depends on
now
who's the
inside of
better
big
fragger
tower.
at
They
that
still have some
point.
patch to worry about, and that's going to be their first thing to check off the list. Get that electrical room open, try and get some pressure down towards site.
As they attempt to Cali open the hatch there. We are going to see a few of those ring off, but no success on getting the hatch open as far as I've been able to tell here. Achieved also going to chuck in a nade, but it looks like in the process he blew up a Goyo shield, which I think killed his own drone, so he's going to have to back up off that drone real quick. Seems there was a few others in the room anyway, so nothing lost too heavily there. Rotate hole is now being opened into the construction pathway here. As Goyo might try to, Crazy might be trying to play around with that a little bit more here as TSM slowly
I think
gets
Mark
the
is
control
just
leading up to that. As you can see, Gio
taking inventory of what he has. Keep in mind, Mark is most likely the IGL. I'm not quite sure. But he was the IGL back when he played for Reciprocity Cloud9 back in the day. And I would say that Mark is definitely one of the biggest improvements to Tempo Storm that there is. While on Reciprocity, he did not have the best stats, yes, but he was their IGL, and he was able to bring them up to a top 4 contending team, maybe even top 3. And we still have those same teams, they became Oxygen, so we still have SSG, TSM, Dark Zero, and Oxygen all vying for being top 3 teams. Oxygen has kind of fallen more to the wayside as of late this season. We don't know. They've made improvements most likely, and they might be vying for top 3 once again. But right now, I would say Tempo and Oxygen are both vying for the top 4, if not possibly top 3 spots. Definitely, we're seeing a lot more competition out of NA this year, more than any other year, and they've kind of taken the criticism that we've been seeing from the EU region, saying that NA is made of a bunch of slackers, basically, and they were able to turn it around and show them that, hey, you guys are wrong, especially with the somewhat embarrassing performances that we saw just on Monday from the league. There were a lot of majors slapping around. We saw teams that we expected to do great losing in a 2-7, 1-7 fashion, something that basically should not happen if these teams are on par. But here we go. Here we have a team that I would easily say was in the bottom half, somewhere around 6th or 7th position, putting up a very good fight against a top 3 team. Showing just how competitive NA has become within the last year.
Unlucky. I was going to say slow but steady, but the Mute Jammer still thwarting progress for TSM. Chala and Gio work their way downstairs into
Mute Jammer forcing Gio to get hyper aggressive.
I was going to say slow but
try
steady,
and take out these jammers. Achieved kind of being forced to make sure and watch that no one tries to flank them. There's no one in a good position to do what Gio's doing. I really don't like that Gio's pushing it, but he also really has no other choice. This also just leaves me wondering where Bolo is. If Bolo was there, he could have taken out the gadgets and whatnot, and we wouldn't have to play this risky, but we've only got 43 seconds left on the clock, so Gio is forced to take this, and if we only had a shield further up, or even right here, shield here, and that's it. Gio's dead, Chala's dead. The push fails right there.
Work their way downstairs into pillars. Mark's going to be the first one to be combatant, but it's going to be sloppy with the initial kill as the execution goes off. Second exothermic charge goes down to blow open the single panel into sight. Creators with a quick move, trying to deal with pillars, but TSM slowly losing more and more people. Finally, Gio finds something, and it's Mark. Sloppy takes a little bit of damage as well. Electrical now open, everyone holding their angles. Dreams worked his way back into the freezer, still playing the shield.
So they take out the shield, It luckily doesn't hurt any of them, but they're still poised to be able to strike. Crazy is in a good position. Alright, I just had to record this little segment here because I noticed the audio is really cutting out, and there's a lot of important things I wanted to say in this segment, and I have messed with my my audio just a little bit since doing the live recording, so this is going to look slightly different. As you can tell, probably the audio quality, also the visual quality doesn't look as good because of the downloading and compression and all that, so we're just going to quickly go over this right here. So I'm going to start drawing over on the screen right here, talking about mostly how I feel Sloppy, who is playing the Goyo, is just out of position. He could be in a better position. Right now, his position is mostly looking over at construction, but that's not where people are going to be going in order to pull off their final flank and final push. Here, I'm going to start drawing where I think he could be. He could be playing within the closet. He could be playing close to the wall over there. And either of those two locations would allow him to almost immediately refrag. I especially think that the best position would be over in closet because Dream and Craters are able to play off of each other, but Crazy is essentially playing alone. And it gives someone or a person that Crazy can feel confident that he's able to be there and able to refrag for him.
Time around. Just for right now, TSM, even though that last offensive or the second offensive round was a success, Tempo's just beating them with this utility game.
And the prospects going into round number 4 are not necessarily looking too great either here when you consider the play that happened back in round 1. Tempo Storm did a great job of actively rotating their own defensive setup to counter the rotations that TSM was trying to do when they were being found out. So they tried to see 2 push that got countered, tried to swing the pressure around a little bit to work their way back in from both the dorm stairs.
The only thing different is they open up, rotate, and a drop down. Probably ready for anyone who needs to rotate, because there honestly is no good way if you're rotating from white stairs to anywhere else besides the main stairs. If you're trying to get to tower, this is the shortest path that you can open up, this or this over here. It also gives you the option to just go through, drop down, and then keep running, and then following almost the same path but underground.
Well as the main front door stairs, none of that really had much success except for 1 to 2 entries that they found towards the end of the round. And they're starting this one here in round number 4 off the same exact way. They started round number 1 with a bit of aggression towards the tower.
I like how Tempo is using creators more as a scout than anything with this pulse play. He doesn't have to peek anything, very safe behind these hard walls. Can use a nitro or a pre-fire to try and get an early kill. I like what they're doing, but he walks right into the trap. You guys saw the flash of Merc's skull bandana on Ash before he rips creators to shreds, and that's going to be the pulse off the board. Merc's still very aware that somebody else could be around. That's Sloppy.
So TSM obviously adapting to the way that Tempo played it earlier. They knew that they would stick a pulse over in tower, so they said, hey, let's get Merc and Bolo to kind of force a pinch. We're gonna Merc below ground, catch him. Remember, in the first round, deployed a barricade over the tarp's door, all that. So you might not have heard that. And then Bolo is just kind of playing a little game, saying, here, pay attention to me, while Merc comes up from behind and takes him out.
On the Jaeger inside of Kitchen Hallway.
That's one of the unfortunate events Twitter right there. We'll see Sloppy next up here. He's going to get droned out. There's more than likely fail from this fight. Trying to rotate is going to be an option. You can see Merc is waiting for the ultimate to try and make the push, but maybe he's just going to pop open that stage wall. As one was left soft. Here exploding now. That's going to open up a bit more room here for TSM to play into, because they should carry full meeting control with that explosion there.
Well, the TSM stack all
Instead of
in
the
big tower
Kali,
right now.
because Bolo didn't go
I guess
Kali
it's
this
just a
time.
running joke. They're all going to sit here.
brought
We're going to drone and see what we
an
can get for the
IQ.
information gain. There's really no presence from Tempo on that mid-level anymore, but TSM has finally gotten Attic open. It's all up to Mark to try and hold this area down, but he's got some cam work to try and assist him with that. TSM, though, are sending a full Mary
Okay,
all the
Gio's
way
gonna
across
go
the Master
up
again,
and
so it seems like
around.
even though this failed the last
They're getting
time, they
everyone
want to try
going
it
up
all
and
over.
around.
Well, all goes quiet for now. Just a lot of intel gathering for the most part by TSM and preparing for the actual push. As you can see them trying to drone around Master, and they're going to do it once again from Gio's perspective here. Bolo and Achieved have already completed that task, though Bolo's going to go right through and take walk-in control here. It is not going to be challenged by anyone on Tempo Storm, so why not? Now, the real question is, are they going to be able to either get that wall open or transfer this into an actual take? Because this is the same spot they got to back on round number 1 and then failed to actually enter into the site. So now we're going to change that back up. You still just have Bolo here trying to take out a couple of the mute jammers before they finally commit themselves to the inside. Same task that the Ash accomplished, which was actually breaking over the soft wall there. Now we're going to see finally though Gio has a chance to open up the primary wall with the Thermite, and that is going to give these attackers a lot. Well, but again, they're under 30 seconds. We have to wait for the actual push to work its way in. And Tempo Storm has not really given away a lot of fights here. Not only that, but Sloppy's got flank on Bolo. He can't really rejoin his team at this point until he takes care of this fight. A lot of time wasting from Tempo, and it's working out just beautifully for them. Achieve, though, with a great nade, starts off the push. We're going to see Sloppy trade that back and win the duel versus Bolo. The rest of the team nowhere near plan, I don't believe, although Gio coming very close, but the diffuser's going to get dropped by him. Chala trades that back. It's a 1v2, but nobody can get onto the diffuser in time. So Tempo Storm win it on the timer.
We're 4 rounds deep now.
They can get
Yeah, a lot happens.
beautifully for them. On Bolo, he can get to wait for the actual push to work its way in.
Alright, this is another section where it was pretty important, but unfortunately a lot of audio was once again unusable. So once again, I'll just be talking and go over the pre-recorded video footage. So here we go, right into it. We're going to see that Dream is in a pretty precarious situation. He's got to deal with the possibility of people pushing through Trophy or Games, so he's kind of split his attention. However, I believe he only needs to worry about one direction, and that is going to be those coming over from Trophy. And it means he doesn't have to pay attention to Attic at all, because Mark is going to be taking care of that. Anyone who tries to drop into lower Attic will be taken out. Dream doesn't have to worry about that. Now, for Dream to not worry about his games from the push of Geo, he's got to worry that, or he's got to trust in Crazy to be able to hold his game's push. And ideally, no one's going to push up the white stairs because there just isn't much opportunity, or if there even is, Crazy should be able to hear them coming up the white stairs regardless, therefore making this little situation here a little odd. So what kind of positioning I would like to see Crazy taking is a more aggressive one where he's out at the top of white stairs just watching the breach that has been made by Geometrics over in the closet.
In order to make it very difficult for TSM or any offensive squad to try and get that plant down. You want to make the time work for you, and that's exactly what Tempo Storm is doing. And it's honestly masterfully done. I've honestly never seen them do this in this fashion.
Beautiful work by Tempo indeed, and now we get to see how it goes even further. Still a few more rounds to go from their defensive side to try and set up a potentially very one-sided game for themselves if it continues to go in their favor. Now finally going to move into a different site, however, as things will work their way downstairs. We'll take a look at the setup as they're going to go to kitchen and meeting. It's like that normally wouldn't see brought in too often here, but on the new map, starting to see teams experiment with it a little more. Also, Tempo Storm are out of options, so they obviously have to go.
So I'm not sure which is stronger right now.
Yeah,
if it's
they are
going
kind of
to be meeting kitchen or kitchen dining. I think
the
personally
kitchen site is
dining
actually
kitchen.
a double site. So you can play kitchen meeting or you can play kitchen.
It is really awkward to play. I'm not sure which is stronger right now.
So which is that little room off to the left that has the door that goes to Small Tower, in case you guys haven't played the new Oregon just yet. But lots of reinforcements, lots of castle barricades, you guys can see. So a good setup here from Tempo. I like what they're doing with these castle barricades.
I'm not a fan of these castle barricades. Where to start? So you want to get control of Zulu. There are several different names. I call it Zulu. So on Zulu here, basically the only way to prevent, if you're a defender, prevent someone from opening up this barricade. But in order to do that, you have to go all the way out and around through here. Or your roamers have to come down the white stairs and through here, or down the main stairs through here. Versus you have a rotate there, you could just come through here. Now, unfortunately, there's just no good way around defending this castle. It's mostly used early alarm. Well, regardless, no matter what. Now, if you have your roamers with an angle down this way and towards that might help mitigate some and help delay them a little longer, forcing a top clear for sure. But I've also noticed that you definitely have to go for a top clear first, and there are a lot of teams that just
It's actually isolating the meeting room and forcing them to take it from the top, and that's exactly why you see Crazy and Sloppy up here. So they've got reinforcements spread completely throughout the entire map, trying to make it a little bit more difficult for them to get that meeting site, and that's going to be the difficult site to try and handle. Meeting is so large, there's so many different areas to plant. I honestly haven't even seen somebody attempt to attack it just yet, so I'm truly interested to see if TSM is just going to try and hit kitchen, or what the game plan is here.
Another interesting thing with just to highlight pretty much how well Tempo Storm is doing as a team at the moment here. Obviously for the viewers, this isn't a massive deal, but you look at just kind of how even the stats are across the 5 players right now. Everybody's within 1 to 2 kills of each other. So you've got everybody on the team contributing against the defensive effort. This isn't one man carrying the team forward in any one certain situation here, and that's always good to see. I'm curious if that's going to continue as we get further into this half into the second half. Either way, though, TSM making a lot of forward momentum, mainly from the small tower side of the map. They just opened up their first wall into the site, and it probably will be too much of a delay before they start trying to get control of the site itself.
Clear up top.
Well, here's the issue now. They don't have any verticality, and as we said before, Sloppy and Crazy both upstairs, so they'll have quite a bit to worry about when it comes to that, trying to get a diffuser down. TSM stuck between a rock and a hard place.
At this point, you realize there are a lot of vertical holes. Get Bolo out of there to go get it. Leave Chala, leave Geo here to keep the front line and be ready to push in when they need to and catch anyone that's trying to rotate. But you need to get these two along with, who's the last one? Oh, where is Merc? Yeah, Merc needs to be the one up above. That's who we're missing. Merc should also be helping spearhead the above.
All conjoined around showers inside of Small Tower. Halfway through the round now with not too much done, but trying to find their way through these woods.
Again, their time could become a concern, and that may be the reason as to why TSM took control they did here in Dining so early on. Not only that, but it was given to them for the most part. So where they're going to get that, and they will take it, especially if it helps with the timing issues that they've been running into, finding themselves needing quite a bit more of it to actually try and get the diffuser down onto the ground. It's going to be a rotate here from both Bolo and Geo.
20 seconds too late, they start rotating
just going to drone his way into the room they previously took control of. Geo had achieved, however, looking for other entry options. They have their eyes on that hallway leading into meeting as a potential push point here. We've also got Crazy still in the way of that. They'll spot him through the drone. Are they going to be able to isolate and kill him is the more important part. Again, time. 40 seconds remaining here. TSM, what are you going to do?
Time is a factor, John. Time is a factor. Dream still has 2 of those toxic babes as well, so as the timer ticks down, this is going to get even more difficult for TSM. And you can see that they're practically dumbfounded. Finally, they get a meeting wall open, but again, all those people upstairs could come back to bite TSM. They have to try and figure out how to get a plant down here. Assuming they're going to try and put it down on stage, where are those angles that they have to worry about? Chala with the first kill, but Sloppy and Dream quick in succession to equal things out. And she finally bringing it back, but it's a kill fury. On both teams here with the timer finally hitting 0. No plant, and Tempo Storm runs the timer out once again inside of round 5.
They just could not deal with that top-down position that I believe Crazy was holding for Tempo
So
Storm
I
there.
don't know
So
if it's
beautiful
because
stuff from them.
TSM is new to this,
As they
or
maintain pretty much
what.
solid control throughout the
We haven't seen
entire
this kind of
round. A
defense
singular position just completely kills TSM's
don't
push. As
realize
once again, they are
that
not able to find a clean route into the site,
top
forced to
controls.
execute with a lot of angles placed against them, and it just goes pretty much as the last couple rounds, have gone as much as you'd expect it to go at this point. Now 4-1 in the favor of Tempo. So far, a very one-sided affair, just not the way that people thought it was going to be.
Tempo Storm's blowing them out of the water right now. They really are. I don't know what else to say. TSM just seems lost currently. They didn't try and clear top floor at all on that last go-around. And now they're back downstairs, which has been one of the harder sites for them, but it is the only site that they also got a plant off. It's their one round. But as we saw, Tempo quickly fix things immediately after that. So for TSM, it just seems that they haven't really fleshed out their offenses on Oregon just yet. They might not have even thought that they were going here. I don't really know. It's hard to say with such a new map.
Yeah, I mean, like, the map pools overall between these teams, if you look at the history, just look like a little... To be fair, it looks like for a lot of teams right now. But it just looks a little bit weird just because it's been so long since we've had real competition. So a lot of the map stats are like...
Okay, looking at this basement defense, oh, it's weird that they haven't reinforced the electrical wall here yet.
no longer really applicable anymore, which means there's not a lot of data on these teams, on top of the fact that the map pool has changed pretty significantly in recent times, and because of the delay, teams have changed their map pool pretty extensively. It creates some pretty, hard to ban situations, I think, for the first couple weeks of the leagues now.
Looks
yeah,
like
it's like to go look at the map stats right now, because every single map's like, oh yeah, they played it once in the last 6 months.
It's like, it's like one to three.
We had to move those two reinforcements elsewhere and somewhere else.
Oh man, well, TSM with an initial clear, again, Merc first in the building.
Deciding that other places were more
important. The drone legion in front of him, he's going to add to it as well to try and find somebody inside a freezer, and that's exactly what he's going to find. It's crazy, or excuse me, it's actually Dream downstairs, the smoke, not the mute, playing inside a freezer. Seems the TSM is going to go back to the first round and what they attempted there. Get these hatches open, try and find their way onto site with some picks. But the rough thing for them is that Tempo is doing a very good job of not giving up these first bloods.
Not at all. Tempo's being very careful. Just, even when they're being aggressive, they're being very carefully aggressive. You had mentioned there.
So already less than a minute in, they have full mid-floor control. It looks like TSM is still trying to figure out how they're going to put it. Testing the waters here over in kitchen. Looking down the main stairs over here. They're trying something different, something new, because they haven't been able to win an attack on the basement yet.
Their pulse play when they had been using him on the kids rounds, that was a great example of it. Unfortunately, that player did get caught out,
well,
but that was
after
repeating the same actions from a previous
only
round.
One, it was very
obviously,
close,
it being a much easier job for TSM to track the
was
player
more
down
of
at
a
that point.
fluke.
So besides that,
Oh, sorry about
doing
that,
a really good
misspoke.
job. And there you go. There's them getting the first blood once again.
Here's
Creators
first
being able to
pick
strike
on
from the tower
Merc.
stairs. They're going to fall back,
was
so
on
obviously,
the
we'll have to regroup with his team and put them in a great position to follow.
Oh. Okay, so he must have been in a meeting, saw the punch hole happen, and taken him out.
Man,
all the way
I didn't even realize
Zulu.
the angle on that one. Jeez. What a winger from Creators there. Great stuff.
Seems like a punch hole to kill a punch hole. That's a way to deal with it. The counter to bullet holes is bullet holes.
He's practicing for laxing later on.
Yeah, I tweeted who's going to be the first one to try the next rat tactic out. Everyone added laxing, by the way. I was, oh my goodness. Well, Freezer now going off as they're trying to burn out all these ADS. His Creators also has a shield as well.
They now have freezer control. Once again, they could be challenging them horizontally from the laundry area if they had this wall open. I think the way to go is just open roughly a mid-height holes to be able to challenge. And you can stick someone over here, you can stick someone up on box in order to look over and get someone. But they're using a shield and point. That, once again, is also just another very powerful, strong position.
Well, I believe that's one of Sloppy's shields, so...
And it will slow TSM's push through. Once again, like I said, I think you can slow the push another cross on it.
Could have an explosive finish here, but...
now it's 3 people stacked up. They're going to probably be able to take out Creators here.
With grenades, and I think he's queuing one up right now. So let's see. And yes,
shield, they get rid of him, burning out the flashes. Once that's burned out, you gotta assume that the grenades are coming. Get out. There's no one to hold your cross, so just get out of there once your ADS is burned.
Winner. But it was not a Goyo shield, so either way, he would have ended up dead there. Perfect throw by
James.
What else would you expect?
Push,
Still have a mute down low, and they're gonna need Bolo to rotate over here to get rid of this mute jammer. Chala's actually gonna catch somebody through the drone hole, I believe. Going to be a very, very nice kill from him. Good game sense from Chala.
Yeah, caught his feet just through it, so nice find. Crazy will trade it back, though, and keep us in an...
That's unfortunate. Didn't realize that there was a drone hole there. If he had known, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have
been
stood
freebie free
there.
for the time
Would
being.
still have
The team
someone
trying to push
else.
their way forward. Got players holding the angle. Mark's
Once
trying
again,
to hold this
just
back, but it's actually crazy
essentially
striking
lowering
next.
the map.
Mark's actually going to get called over here to the other angle to try and assist with this, but he'll end up going down. It's Sloppy that's going to keep things even for his team. Chala will bring it back down to a 1v1, but he's got no time remaining, and Sloppy's going to kill him anyway as he finishes things off in the Goyo. It's yet another round for Tempo Storm as they close the half out 5-1, I believe.
Let's be honest. Did you sit down in your chair saying that Tempo Storm was going to 5-1 on their half on Oregon?
I knew Tempo Storm had a chance in this game. I did not see the 5-1 first half coming their way. However, that I did not predict. That is certainly a surprise. And the
So
crazy
while I
part
was
is
good
this
on
is
this
TSM
half,
pick right here.
once
They
again,
wanted
gotta
to go
keep
to
in
Oregon. They
mind
wanted
it's
to play on
defender
this
side
map.
of map.
So
It'll be far more in
John,
favor of the
they tell
defenders.
you when
A
you go into
5-1
school,
is
right?
not a
You find the
bad
biggest bully in
split
the
for
yard,
a
and that's
new
who you go
map
poke,
on
right?
the
You start messing
defense
with that guy.
side.
Because if you're bigger than that guy,
It's just up to
then
them to
obviously
be able to take two
you're somebody not
maps
to be
off of
messed with.
TSM
And I think
on
that is the way
attack
that
side.
Tempo is looking at this. Is if we beat TSM, everyone has to stop talking crap. You can't say anything to us. We're beat one of the top 5 teams in the entire world inside of a best of 3, and they're starting things off strong. I don't see it slowing down either. It seems that TSM has a slight disconnect inside of their intel game, where they're not really making the rotations that they need to have on these offenses for at least Oregon. Again, we're going to get into map 2.
Okay, let's go just back just a little bit. We're gonna look at the way that TSM
where
set
they're
up.
not really making the
So
rotations that they need to
TSM
have
going
on these
for a full
offenses for at
reinforced
least Oregon. Again, we're
on
going
the
to get into
electrical
map 2
wall.
here in a little while. It could be quicker than we expected. It could
We're
be
gonna use
7-1,
Kaid
but
in order
for right now,
to
it seems
defend
that
the walls and
Oregon's
the hatch, I would assume.
yeah, for sure. And some really great stuff from Tempo Storm in doing it.
But here's one thing I noticed that's weird. They're leaving this wall soft. Now, I don't know if that's... Pardon me. I don't know if that's just to be able to take another fight. You probably could take the fight over from Pillar too and get that long angle. Now, it just makes it difficult to play Pillar and looking up the stairs. And that makes it a little more hazardous there. We'll see how that works and pays off. There are definitely benefits and downsides
course,
to
now
the
that
way
sides
they're
have switched.
going. Of course, once again, the vault hole through the bunker
And
rotate.
Tempo Storm
They
keeps
use
kind of
barbed
momentum up on their
wires instead
attacking
of
end, or are they
shields.
going to suffer from
Watch
the
it,
same
and they
flaws
put
that
a
we just saw with
horizontal.
TSM back in the last half? Well, thankfully, you guys don't have to wait very long for the answer to that question, as Tempo Storm is spawning right now.
So once you open up the hatch, then all you have to worry about is someone on pillars. You can go for
So
a
very similar
gunfight on
lineup for them on the offensive side. Single hard breach, still going to be bringing the Kali, which we've been seeing a lot of Kali play inside of PL today, and I honestly really like it.
Teams
We
I would
haven't seen her very
assume
much
that
inside of
Achieved is up here to roam in order to protect that hatch.
any of the
and
games
they
that we've
recognize
casted
that
recently
that
at
is the
SI or
weakness.
inside of Season 11. And I feel like the reason we're seeing her a lot more now is because of that secondary SMG getting added. She got the SMG from Clash, which is one of the best secondary pistols in the game. It has stats that almost mirror the F2, fun fact, John. So it's a very, very, very good gun. Not too much recoil either. I think it fits her kit nicely.
Yeah, it makes her a lot more versatile in areas where she wouldn't really be able to use the sniper, if I remember correctly, it's called the CA. So in those types of situations right there, obviously where the sniper is just not going to work out. You think like a stair angle, something like really close quarters, that SMG's going to add a lot more versatility to Kali's kit, and she'll be able to play into those types of
Alrighty,
situations
Sloppy's
a lot
ready to
more
start
efficiently, hopefully
challenging
stay
Bolo.
alive, get a few more kills. She just becomes a much more needed addition at that point, and a much more, a good...
Minute in, they're still running out, clearing. I think that just comes with figuring out the new map. If Tempo had left some pre-placed drones to watch the staircase, who is roaming, who's not, and it is a gamble, of course, that drone, most powerful gadget in the game. Right now, they've already burned a total of 40 seconds.
alternative to Thatcher at this point.
Well, it's also a good day for the freshies, John, as Chala and Sloppy are both top fragging for their team. Chala doing it from...
So, I'm just going to go back just a little bit. If you notice, TSM did slightly what I suggested.
Well, it's also a good
or
day
was
for the
saying
freshies, John.
That Tempo didn't do differently.
Chala and
Let's
Sloppy.
see if we can grab that angle there. As we can see, horizontal, right in there. They reinforced this side. That's just to be able to give someone a bit more breathing room to play and go a little wider. But it does help prevent people from far down into Freezer. And if they leave Freezer alone and down through the main stairs or something similar, now you have a line of sight that works outwards. Works both ways, and it gives you cover.
Are both top fragging for their team. Chala doing it from a more flex support role as well. So 8-1 and 3 for him. He's been showing us exactly why TSM picked him up. He deserves a pro league spot. He was so good on SSG when they had him, but he was just not the right piece for that puzzle. It seems like he's finding his spot here with TSM. They just need to get more rounds on the board. That KDA only matters if you're in the lead.
CSRX 300 is the name of that gun. I was way off. I think I named Buck's gun.
Is it a Honda? I'm just saying. What is that name?
All right, so I work on getting my gun names back into the memory there. We'll continue to see how TSM are looking to defend this site. We are going to see the laundry hatch.
Hatch gets open. Not a huge major hatch. It just makes it a little easier in order to push down the stairs,
hopefully be able to swing around into
clearing
the
it
laundry
out.
site itself. Chala's going to be on that tight corner though, and you've got another member of TSM right on the other side. Laundry
get a
store. It's
foothold,
not going
but
to be
it's
an
not
easy push.
ultimately as
Merc
important
has
as
also
it used
stopped
to
the
be.
first attempt to push in. Achieve will do the same against Sloppy. A great hold at construction and a complete denial of the push from Tempo Storm.
The Thatcher ban is what makes this so difficult to try and penetrate these sites. All of those ADS is up, so much utility to try and burn through, so difficult for Tempo Storm, and getting some of their own mess in right now as TSM
Left
has
in
a
the
flawless round on
1v5.
their first
It's not
defensive
very
round of the
likely.
half.
They didn't take enough
TSM just none of their
map
crossfires
control.
being deteriorated
This
at all on
area
the actual
is just
entry
so
from Tempo Storm
claustrophic
leads to a
that
very
the
quick
defenders are able to play
finally
off each
comes
other's
through.
roof
Tempo
frags
Storm shut
quite
down
easily.
without too much response.
Even a 1v1, it's going to quickly
this
turn
matchup
into
now.
a
Maybe
2v1
can still swing a comeback here with the
frag,
defensive
so
side now under their
things
control. Figure all that out.
weren't looking
Looking
up
like TSM going to
for
swing
Crazy.
upstairs. Next, following
He
pretty much
wasn't
the
going
same
to be
pattern
able
we
to
saw from
clutch it
Tempo,
unless
just
he
opting
got
to go for the bait first
extremely
instead of
lucky,
going
and
for hit.
TSM played
Now we'll swing up there as a
extremely
secondary
poorly.
site choice.
A very similar 6 pick coming in, the exact same 6 pick actually we saw from Tempo Storm on this exact same site earlier. So Valkyrie going to be in play instead of the Kaid. Feel like they have enough wall denial with those mute jammers. TSM actually have a the exact same operators lineup. I was going to say very similar, but no, it's the exact same operator lineup as Tempo Storm when they held the exact same site. So we'll see if, I mean, the scrim reports are true and everyone's just playing the same thing on Oregon. Again, this is a brand new map, man, so it's fun to see what everyone's thinking of it.
It's going to be interesting to see when we start to see teams like diverge a little bit more. Everybody is doing what you said, just kind of playing to the safe standard for the most part right now. I think we'll see some teams do it at the beginning, and then once they're more comfortable with that standard, they'll start to expand outward from it. We've got these floor rotates being made.
Okay, plenty of vertical holes in order just to try and catch anyone who's playing the mid-floor area. So these holes in order to catch any sort of buck player coming down the main hallway through kitchen. I'm sure they've got the same holes over in this corner over there. These holes are to try and catch anyone coming up from the basement, I believe, or even out through Zulu, because it's roughly this area right here, I believe. All these vertical holes. It also could just be in order for plant denial. So right now, typical spots that you can plant, especially, are going to be this corner, probably here, and even over here. They're just somewhat protected, especially this spot right here. It's hard for any defender on the top floor to get a good line of sight. So that's when I'm expecting to see those vertical holes.
So just so they can try to stop any of the initial aggression towards more commonly pushed areas, trying to watch for rotates and whatnot that would happen from the attack.
Yeah, right on Zulu. Like I said, if they're trying to push through Zulu, gonna catch them out.
At the same time, allows them, I think, to support Geo just a tad here too, if he's able to bait players into his nest there from security.
And we see Geo is
here for
playing
TSM. Not too much utility to back it
roamer
up though,
role.
but if you guys have noticed, the entire basement of Oregon
And he's able
now
to
is
move
like
throughout
one big
kitchen
rotation
area in
perimeter.
order to
It's really what
challenge
it is.
anyone
It's just rotation
playing
network
for the
for your
vertical
roamer, so
fairly
you can drop
easily,
any of those hatches around the map
moving
and find a different way
seamlessly
around. There's 3
through
staircases to get you back
security
out of that
and
hole.
kitchen
So
itself.
it's a very, very good area
So
to play for this roam game. That's
Tempo
exactly what
looks
TSM's
like they're
going
going
to
to
do. They've
start
got
the same
Valkyries
way.
up
They're
throughout the
going
map, try and help the
to
G's
get
and
some
Geo get these early
tower
picks.
control.
It
I don't know if
seems
they're
to
just clearing
be what
anyone
their plan
out
is
or
right
actually going
now.
to
Try and
push.
get rid of
Looks
a couple
like
of these
they're
members from
dedicating
Tempo with these
operators who
early
are going to
picks.
make the push.
Nothing too crazy going
Gonna
on
get
just yet,
that
but
open,
Tempo is
and then they're going to
focused
push
on
from
big
somewhere
tower,
else.
just
You
like we saw
can't just succeed
with these early picks.
push on this top floor from just one area. Like, great, you have attic control. Now what are you gonna do? You gotta crossfire from here. You gotta another here. You got 2 choke points, and it just makes it difficult to even drop down into lower attic. So how are we gonna take this site? Now we need to make sure that there's no one immediately close. Maybe over in the cover, you can at least challenge that somewhat. But we especially need to make sure that there's no one over in the games room area. So often we'll see that teams push this side, right? They're going to push the trophy side, they're going to push through bedroom and get games room open, or they're going to push through white stairs area. We have yet to see anyone attempt to push through big window, at least very successfully. I believe there was the European League game where they did that. It ended up in a flop and did not work. It was a kill zone on the big window. 3 people died on the window.
TSM taking a very similar page that we saw from Tempo. A little bit of aggression.
TSM has 2 roamers and Geo and achieved
actively
right
adapt
now.
themselves to the attack from Tempo Storm itself.
Meeting
Now,
area,
he's
going to keep playing in there even though they spot him out
no
and know
initial
where he
retreat, so we might
is.
actually end up in a fight over the next couple seconds. At the same time, we are seeing more players. Geo from TSM push forward
Who's gonna
inside kitchen to maybe
rotate
help with
over
this.
and
Find a trade.
help him
Fires
first.
had too soon, gives away his position.
Put a few
No longer have
shots
the element of
down
surprise. Slavi
range,
gonna try to swing. He's
scare
got a
him
bad
out.
angle though, so Achieve is gonna beat him to the punch. In the process of that, we'll see Achieve throw away his Nitro Cell.
So achieved. Of course, he has that rotate there set up early for him. That we can rotate out, get away safely, keep his life if he can. He's able to get away with a kill, and he's able to get out.
But he's not going to be able to make an impact with that. He'll be happy with the 1 kill he got. He's now going to fall back to re-rotate and group up with the rest.
Now Mark is forced to essentially watch. They know he fell off, but he's worried that there could be a flank coming from
the team over here
I
on
don't
the
think he has anyone reinforcing him over
Great
the
start
tower.
for
Does Creator.
TSM
He's
around
watching
8, only a
him
minute and 8
that
seconds
way.
left as well, and they've got
He's
the initial
aware.
pick. Sloppy's had such an important
That's not
pivotal
necessarily
role
his job,
for Tempo
so
throughout their entire game so far, and now that he's off the
Right
board,
now-
they're going to be
cutting off the armory hallway. I think he's gonna get in if he can. He's just checking the area. So that way, like I said, he takes a trophy. He's gonna push whoever it is out of this box in general. They need to get control of another half of the map. right there.
A little damage inside of the entry department, looking to Mark and creators to try and get more work done. But as the timer ticks away, this is getting more difficult and more difficult. Finally, Dreams shifted over to the top of main stairs to put down an air jab as they set their sights on the master closet wall.
40 seconds remain for Tempo Storm to attempt the plant. Starting to make some forward progress, though Dream nearly over peaking in the duel. Doesn't realize he ends up taking as a player in the backside. Shala in the meantime.
So Chala, they just come to him in a meat grinder. At choke point, like I said, where he's playing extremely close with a shotgun.
Players
Great
out against him.
advantage for
Finds the
him.
first pickup, nearly self-blinds himself on the trade there, but he's able to get it together. Bolo picks up the next two, and that's going to close out on the round. Two flawless ones in a row from TSM. This might be a very quick comeback if things don't change soon for Tempo.
I'm telling you, that Thatcher ban is something else right now. Very difficult to try and get into sight and eliminate all of that utility. And again, that's something that, well, previously really wasn't paying attention to with TSM being on offense. I just assumed it's TSM, they'll get it done, they'll find a way. But with Thatcher off the board and only having Kali to be able to try and break through all of this utility, it's damn near impossible, John. There's so many mute jammers to worry about. You throw Kaid in there for the
They go
hatch.
for Kali. I would assume that they bring the Kali because they feel like they need to clear some of the gadgets and they're just not able to push successfully through them. Joke's kind of on them. The Kali was baited out with the Kaid. They had no intention of stopping them.
She only has 3 of those projectiles to try and get rid of any electro claws or mute jammers. So you really have to pick and choose what you want open, and then on top of that, you have to combat the defense to then get it open. It's not like the utility is going to sit there and they're like, oh yeah, we'll let you have the wall. That's not what's going to happen. So right now, Oregon playing well into the hand of the defenses here, specifically TSM. As you said, 2 flawless rounds back to back. Cut out there for a second.
It's all good. Chala's certainly doing a great job, by the way, of re-earning his prowess here at a pro-level play for the North American League, as he leads by almost a doubled margin to the next highest teammate on his squad right now, 12 kills. Like I said, I think the next highest on his team was at 6. So big props to Chala for his first official showing here on TSM.
Okay, so in order to keep the ever so important top control, they're going to make sure that if they decide to push from the east side, that they can only do so through the trophy area. If they want to push through attic, I believe they reinforced top attic, which is just kind of given, and they reinforce the single wall in order to make sure that they just don't have an angle over from big window. Might have to go back a little bit.
Team with 6. So big props to
Oh
Chala
no,
for his
they're
official
reinforcing down
showing
below,
here
so
on
never
TSM.
mind.
Well, Tempo Storm about to flood the field, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So we have Dream
Mark
back on the
getting
Kali.
bullet
We'll see if
peeks
the
ready
success story that they had
on
on
anyone
defense can
tries to
finally
come
rear
through.
its head on
Okay,
offense.
so he has
They
a
need to get the ball
rotate
rolling here.
through
TSM
attic
is quickly
instead,
gaining
that way you
ground.
can play
It's
more
45
fluidly up
free.
above.
This is the time to bring
and
things
be able
back
to
into your
move
own hands. So
around.
as they're going to be attacking the kitchen meeting site, this is one that they played on their defensive half, and it worked really, really well for them, actually. TSM could not seem to get open any wall until the last 30 seconds, where they finally attacked meeting stage. But again, it was thwarted, really couldn't do much. Hopefully Tempo Storm has a better idea about it.
Well, already about a minute into the round, and Tempo Storm are starting to take some control in the main lobby, along with the garage control they've already taken for themselves. Trying to quickly open up one of the meeting walls and look for potential access here. This will more than likely work out.
So once again, it's just very easy for them to get control. Now that they have control of essentially this area right here. I've seen some people trying to go for a quick plant by planting in this corner or even this corner. Problem with that is, of course, the kitchen area, and it's relatively protected too. Also, everything here is soft, so if they just light them up, they can get through and find their shot connecting and landing.
They just have to be very careful
I
of
believe
rotates
they
from
go for a
TSM. The
rush
drones
plant since
now
they see that meeting area is clear.
emptying out
They
that
might be
site
able
and
to pull
double
it
checking
off,
to
so
see
they
what the
decided to just go
active
for it.
defensive setup looks like
Which
here,
is
although they missed the
exactly
note
what
on
they
a
do.
few of them. They caught it with the drones.
But then Merc comes in.
So
and
no,
is able to
maybe
catch
not.
it.
Merc moves in.
Merc gets refragged.
They'll find one against
but
the player real
already
quick,
they
then he
lost
traded out the
momentum,
Geo.
and they
Also
can
trades
see
things
that
back for TSM. It's a stalemate right now between both
Igna
teams,
fights
but into the advantage of TSM as the diffuser has been dropped mid-sight in meeting.
This is the liveliest round we've seen so far from Tempo on offense, as Sloppy is trying to push the envelope upstairs. Needs to clear this out to make sure there's no verticality. There's a hole upstairs as well. They need to get this diffuser back, as trying to find some more intel. Geo on drone for the time being, but that's a defensive drone. As you guys can see, Geo's the one on Mozzie right below both of them, but it's Chala through some soft destruction to take down Mark. Creators trying to refrag, but now Mark's stuck between a rock and a hard place. As Geo.
So keep in mind, points right now are on, so Chala almost definitely knows he's down, but he's keeping his head down. He knows that at this level, people just don't play alone. It'd be very odd and weird, especially if he's trying to go for grabbing the diffuser and trying to replant. So Chala is
But
just
it's
keeping
Chala through
his
some
head
soft
down,
destruction to take
tucked in
down
the
Mark.
corner,
Creators trying to
allowing
refrag, but
creators
now
to
Mark's stuck
take
between a
him
rock and a hard
back.
place. As Geo runs down on top of his prey. moving to the top of main, but they
But
hear him
also
as he
meaning
pre-fires,
that
and it's going to
Creators
be a
can't
chase,
just go
and
and
no,
pick him
it's
up.
actually Geo to win it out. Here's Creators running up behind him. Sloppy dumps into sight. It's a 2 versus 1 now, as it's only Sloppy up and remaining. That smoke canister actually not getting Mark. Is he going to be able to get him up? He will. They're not going to be able to confirm that kill, so Mark now has the diffuser. Sloppy and Mark both working their way onto B, but where have these defenders went? Achieve currently sitting on stage. Geo working his way up Freezer stairs now. Plant going down, but shouldn't be able to kill him since that is reinforced. Achieve with the first kill, though. Is that going to be the planter? It won't, but now it will be, as Mark is the one with the diffuser. Achieve with a nice 2K, and TSM with round 9.
It all works out for TSM at the end of the day.
So for this side, I definitely think that the way to play it is going to be getting the plant down. It's out on every advantage. Of course, the difficult thing is there's nowhere that's very good, and that's kind of what we discovered with the way that Tempo played it there. If there was one lineup change I would make, it would be with a Monty. Take a Monty in there, you could do a backwards plant and get the diffuser down. It would be relatively protected. He has the shield on his back, or even you can use the Monty to protect him, and in the meantime, you smoke out left side of the meeting hall doorway entrance. Take care of any lines of sight that they can get over from the kitchen area. Achieved currently is by the little freezer, metal freezer.
They
Make
were
sure
really
that
curious to
they
know where
can't
Achieve
get
was
him.
at the moment we saw the hatch drop happen from upstairs, just because it seemed like he could have potentially ended that round like a couple seconds sooner by denying that. I'm not going to fault it too much, though. I just wanted to kind of put that on a post-it note for later analysis, just because of the fact that they still managed to play that 2v2 out very well and shut down the remainder of the push. That'll take us into the next round here for TSM. Only one more point away from tying this back up now at 5-5, and it will take us back into the basement where TSM is going to look to continue their so far flawless defensive side here.
Advance a little bit. No, this is that.
You assume that this is not going to slow down at all. Seem to have a little bit of a different setup for Freezer here. Just going to try and have an extended line of sight from A. I want to see if they're going to put shields inside of the construction hallway here for Merc once again. Last time he made a lot of good work off of that shield. Was able to shut down the construction take from Tempo. They were trying to grasp for straws at the very end of that round.
Let me go back just a little bit.
Line of sight
Did anything
from
different?
A. I want to see if they're going to put
I
shields
just
inside
missed
of
it, maybe?
the construction
It looks like
hallway here for
TSM
Merc
is
once
just running
again.
it
Last time he
again.
made a lot of
And
good
that
work
makes
off of
sense.
that
It was
shield.
very
Was able to shut down the
successful.
construction
It
take
was,
from Tempo.
near
They were trying
flawless,
to
if
grasp
I
for straws
recall,
at the very end of that round.
on their basement defense.
Take a look
No
at
reason
that
really
setup in a
changing
moment
anything
here.
major.
But
It was
the
working
actual
very well for them.
reinforcements being pretty straightforward for TSM, just the one wall on the construction side entry, that they can play into that a bit more aggressively. Same time, you've got Achieved already trying to ring off a few shots here. Not sure if you realize how quickly Tempo's looking to take control of Big Tower. He's going to have to run back downstairs and give that up. Just a little too hot too early for him, so he'll bail out and let Tempo take that control.
Well, big tower take for Tempo once again, starting things off like they have so many times, but no pulse for TSM like we saw with Tempo, trying to get that early intel. Instead, they'll have Chala playing on the back stairs. That smoke can delay for a very long time with those toxic babes. They actually have a double line of sight here, as they also have Merc staring at the back tower stairs as well. And that is not an area that you want to take a gunfight. It is very difficult to win anything on that back staircase. There's only very subtle angles that you can try and grab, and usually it's into the defensive hand since you have to expose yourself, throwing yourself around that handrail that goes up the staircase. So Tempo Storm now in control of meeting. They need to get some hatches open, so that's going to be Dream and Crazy to try and do that. First one of Dream's shots down to try and get rid of that Paige. Not going to work out for him just yet. Second one will. They needed that IQ in there first to figure out where it was, and that's going to be the electric room hatch open.
That's the other
Smart
complexity we bring up
combination
too,
of
to
the
try and use these
Kali
Kalis to
and
make
the
sure they're in the
IQ,
correct
to figure out
spot.
where it
It's a
is,
trickier
or
electric
even
claw.
if they
We just saw the
can't
first one go off
destroy the
unsuccessfully
electric
there.
claw,
So that's another
because there
level
are
of
some
difficulty as
positions
part
where
of
you
this.
just
That's
cannot destroy the electric claw, or you place the Kali charge in the wrong spot, it doesn't get the electric claw, and then you end up
Storm
using
now
2
approaching the
charges
1 minute
just for
marker
1
on the
electric
round
claw.
timer here. We'll need to start sending some aggression in soon. You can see they're very well aware of the position here from Chala, but have not been able to justify a swing against him just yet. You've got Mark on the angle, ready to push, but he's going to be blocked off. Thankfully, the players that push their way in from the hatch have much more success with being able to isolate him out. Chala goes down. They can push back into construction now and try to take out the player holding the side hall.
Oh no, it's a very difficult
So they
situation
drop
for
hatch,
TSM,
take
as
on
most of
Chala
their
because he's
shields
playing
and
on Pillar
utilities have
alone.
been stripped
Unfortunately,
away.
once that hatch gets open, Pillar just becomes almost unplayable unless you have someone playing it hyper aggressive over in this little area next to that way they catch anyone who tries to drop down for you. And that's just not what they were providing. His best play would be to fall back, maybe play in this corner or somewhere else. Since he's playing smoke, snake all the way back to closet, prevent a default plant from in here, be able to help out Geo by refragging or even watching this angle too is another possibility. So just slight improvements on where he could play, but Tempo did just get wildly take him out.
With a nitro cell in hand.
That's what it was
Trying
called
to
for.
assist on B, but
He
it
needed
sails
to
into
take
an
him out. It's a
electrical
very
room,
powerful position
falls on
back
deaf
here.
ears. Tempo Storm has to try and
They
get the ball
traded it out. He delayed enough time though. Look at the clock. When they kill him, there's only what 40
situation for
seconds.
TSM,
so
as most of their shields and
he
utility has
basically
been
did his job.
stripped away. With a nitro cell in hand. trying to assist on B, but it sails into an electrical room and falls
Geo
on deaf ears.
throwing
Tempo
his,
Storm has to try and get the ball rolling now. 24
Metrocell
seconds
in
remain.
to
Crazy
try
has the
and
diffuser in hand. Dream drops down
scare
into
them
the pillars.
away,
We have the
maybe get a
entire
lucky
squad
kill.
practically poised to try and take Freezer hallway. Another Nitro Cell pours out, but Merc's going to attack on as well. Sloppy and Crazy fall. Merc once again. The 81
kills
bullets
right
ring
off
true,
the
but Creators
bat.
finally finds an initial frag. But now before Merc finds his third, and TSM cleans up the rest of the Tempo squad. for round 10.
TSM's just too
It looks
entrenched.
promising
Too
there
many
for
in the back
just a
line,
few
too many in the
moments for
front
Tempo
line.
to try and get
For
their entry
the
capability, but then you
Tempo to be
realize
able to
how
get
much of the
through all
setup
of them on
from
that
the
push.
defensive side on TSM was left untouched
Much
at that
less
point.
even get
You
a
have the multiple
successful
Nitro
plan
Cells
off.
that were able to throw out and kill the denial that was going to give them access
It
to
looks like
storage
basically
site.
you very
And the
much
other
have to
players were
play
still
just
on
for the
laundry
kills.
positions that can
You
swing
have
into
to
that
take
main hall
everyone
at
out,
angles at a
especially
moment's
if they're
notice as well.
turtling.
So many items on the
And
checklist
when
for
I
Tempo
mean
that
when
they
I say
get to
turtling,
try to
what
deal with.
turtling
And the push
is
just falls
all the
apart in those
defenders
final
are
seconds.
basically
But it was
on
starting to
site.
look
They're
good
playing
as they took the pillar room.
usually down below. They're hunkered down.
Amazing
You don't have
showing
any
of what TSM is
roamers.
capable of and their understanding of the game. As you saw that round break down, TSM
There are several
slowly moved
maps and
backwards as their
sites
utilities
where
started to be stripped
turtling
away
is
from
very
them
common
and
in
gave Tempo
practice.
more and more map
Best
control. And it seemed
example,
like the
I
man
don't
with the dollar on the
think,
fishing
would
pole
be
as he
the
almost got it.
clubhouse
Oh, you almost
basement
did.
site.
But
Most
TSM
teams will
just
end up
better when it came
turtling,
down to it.
even
Were able
those that
to
don't.
find all of the lines of sight that
Eventually
they
all
needed to
come
shut down
down
those initial
below.
pushes from Tempo actually onto site. And the star
The
player of the
roamers
round being
are
Merc with that Alda.
essentially
I
time
mean, shot
wasters,
down
and
3
they'll
men. What else
eventually
could you
fall
exactly do
back
from them?
once you
Just like that, ladies and
push
gentlemen,
them
the
out of
game is
position enough,
tied now at 5
or
rounds
if
to
you
each
just
team. The advantage the Tempo has
or you
built
can
up
pick them
from
off and
halftime
kill
at
them as they
5
try to
1 is now
return back to
gone. It's
site.
been 4 consecutive rounds in a row for TSM. They are about to pass the record from Tempo to make that 5 and take a lead in the process. They can make it 6. It's a complete sweep for them.
So far, so good for both teams on defense. Haven't seen much happen on offense, all except for one offensive round, John. We had one offensive win this entire time, and it was the plant that TSM had on basement in the second round of the game. We're all the way on round 11. We're almost 10 rounds past that, and no matter what, we are going to be
So
10 rounds
TSM
past
still
that.
not
So
changing
to
anything
see
up.
a map
Everything's
go
been
so
working for
heavily into the
them. I
defensive
think
favor,
we're
you can
going to see
definitely tell
them
that that
go
Thatcher fan is having a
flawless
very
on their
large impact.
defense.
Huge impact on
They
the
don't
both
drop
sides
a
of
single
Thatcher's capability
one.
just to get access to the common areas they need in order to start and execute. You've seen how awkward some of these pushes have been, and it's in large part because hard breaches haven't been successful. They've been
clearing out the
denied
first
either through
floor
misposition, Cali utility,
probably
or other
means
things
that they
led
won't
to
deal with any roamers
instability and
down
being able to
below.
take out those walls. As a
If it's
result,
not roamers, then they might be playing vertical, and it is very likely
Tempo's
they're
Storm
going
now
for
working
vertical
away
since
towards
Mark
site,
is
going for the
playing
mid-level
on
burst here.
buck.
Creators and Sloppy inside of Dining, or from Tower right now. No, Tower. I don't know. Excuse me, Dining actually, as the drones begin to spin around inside of Kitchen as well as White Hallway. So need some intel on this mid
Most
floor to see if
likely
we
they're
have
gonna
any
catch those
roamers. But for the
verticals.
time being, it seems that TSM is prepped and waiting on site. But that's a huge pick for Mark, as Merc peeks incorrectly into the double window.
It looks like they
and has
just
his head torn off.
gave
So
up going on
now
the
there's no
vertical
longer
because
an
Mark is
Alda to
not
saw
playing
through half
red.
of your team once you try and
At a
execute.
big window as they
Where
get
we've
their
seen a
first
very
pick on Merc.
few times that the attackers have been able to leverage just the first blood, the first kill, let alone take rounds. As we were just discussing a few moments
They
ago,
now
we've
know
got
where
Geo
Geo
still
is.
looking to cause
Geo's
problems though in that main
back,
lobby
just
push,
waste
or
more
excuse me, the
time.
freezer push. They're trying to get
His
past
part,
and get themselves over
but
upstairs here
it
now to the
just
kids.
leaves Tempo and
Cell
keep
Sloppy,
on.
in fact, going to push it out. The rest of the team is ready to move out through big window, but they're not ready to take the fight. It's 4 consecutive kills from TSM. Bola and Shalan achieved, all taking part in the action, and Crazy just thankfully hadn't hopped into that window with the rest
that
of
all happened so close, back to back. Up, slow it down half speed, and see exactly what happens here. You got 2 stacked up on the white door. You have 2 out.
now through the kids.
They go on in.
Sloppy,
Then
in
the
fact,
rush.
going to push it out.
Bobby's
The rest
looking for people. Can't find anyone. Chalice smoke grenade kills someone off the big.
team is
big
ready to move out through big
Whoever's
window.
playing Valk was able to take the kill, and then Chalice smoke
But
grenade is
they're
able to
not
take
ready
him.
to take
It
the
looks like just
fight.
2 people
It's
who are extremely
4
loyal.
consecutive kills.
That's right
from
off of the big
TSM.
window too. Bolo's then able to find creators.
Bola
Zofia was
and
down below.
Shalan achieved, all
then so
taking
would've
part in the
achieved.
action. And Crazy just
There's
thankfully
deaths
hadn't
happening on different
hopped
parts of the
into
map as
that
people try to
window
make
with the
their
rest of his
forced
squad.
push,
as
forced
he's
execute,
now alone
not having taken enough
in a
map control or
1v4
even burned enough utility, I
situation.
think.
Maybe he isn't
I think that's
so
what Tempo was trying to
thankful
pull off here,
anymore, as
was
when he
being able to
realized
take
the difficulty
the
that's faced in front of him.
that they
Might
want
have wished he
on
was
top
dead
floor
after all.
without
Trying his
necessarily
best to look for a way to get into the
taking
big window, but the
taking or
opportunity is
destroying
just not
any,
being presented to him
hard
right
walls or
now.
anything similar.
Hoping that someone overpeaks, that someone makes a mistake. They already did that, but it was back in the beginning of the round, and it seems that that kill has made very little impact. TSM takes another round, 5 in a row here on their defensive side, 1 away from making it 6 and a complete reverse sweep against their opponents
Ooh,
from the
let's
first
not
half.
look at it for ADP and ADP.
Well, I'll admit when I'm wrong, and I was clearly wrong. Your team can still be sawed in half, even though there's not an Alda on the field. It just has to be done with smoke utility and SMG-11. So what a round from TSM to shut down that take. That flood from Tempo could have proven to be very potent, but in the end, it was all TSM all the way. And again, amazing utility usage from Chala. It's great to see him back and being so successful inside of these rounds. It's not the fact that he's just there either. He's not just another piece of the puzzle. He is a standout player right now. 14 14, 3, and 5, John. That is truly incredible.
Huge impact from from him. It's the beginning of this half. His impact was definitely one to note and has been at the front and center for this team.
Let's see what
so far in
TSM
this
does
matchup. Like I said,
different.
we had a
Probably
Bolo off stepping a little bit
absolutely
earlier on,
nothing.
as he was
It's
finding
been
the entry kills
working.
that were very much needed for the
They're
team.
gonna go
Some of those
flawless
more
in
unsuccessful rounds,
defense.
including one that they eventually won before the only attacking round that's gone into an attacker's move.
Well, we're back to the kitchen meeting split. Last time we saw TSM go here, they obviously won because they haven't lost.
For this little rotate over here, I feel like it's just the most optimal place, the best place to put it. You got this little metal box to cover the rotate, split in half here, right? You got the metal box, so that way they can't get a super deep into freezer, but then you're also able to play off the box if you need to as cover. I've been reinforcing this side, that way they can't just blow open a hole and then bam, you're not able to do anything on that side.
Single defensive round just yet. But she's back on that Valkyrie as well, so look out for this roam game, and that's exactly what they're going to have to do, because on this side you have to hold the upstairs. Already broken this one down, but it seems that TSM has a little bit of a different idea about it. They actually have a rotation hole upstairs inside of Attic, and they're going to have Merc play T3. They also have an ADS upstairs as well as in that mid floor inside of Big Tower. So this is all for Merc.
Playing T3 makes
a member of
sense,
TSM,
or
to try and hold down.
make
so
sure
I
that
like
they
how they're
don't
trying to
take
delay the
tower in
initial push here
general.
from Tempo. They're assuming that they're going to take Big
And
Tower
tower,
because
like
they're
I
trying to
said,
take
is
it this
gonna be
entire
higher,
map,
very
and now they're
important,
trying
very
to slow them
important.
down.
The biggest setup here for attacking operators is the fact
Almost
that the Monte being brought in for
important.
creators, obviously trying to get more into the way of those direct crossfire angles. We'll see how successful that will end up being. As at the moment, creators with that Monte is going to group up with 3 other of his teammates and try to go for small tower control to start pushing towards the site.
You have creators on that Monty,
so Tempo's just going to almost totally ignore it. They're going to push the Monty
some good Ash Monty play going on.
through
Off of that
into
Monty.
the kitchen. The
Creators
problem with that is
manning that, so going to be the info game here is they're trying to push
vertical
directly
holes.
onto B as a 2-man unit. Creators already working his way in, and there's no utility to really stop him except for Chala if he wants to try and smoke him off. There's no lesions in play, no traps at all, so this is all fair play for the Monty.
Creators being very cautious about the angles he takes when he pushes in here just because he doesn't want to overpeak even the slightest amount that would give away his head or another crucial body part to an enemy. You can see some of these very close-cut angles that TSM are trying to hold for themselves here. And Temple are very much aware of the
if
fact
we go back, that's actually a pretty smart hole right there that Geo has.
he takes when
It's
he pushes
actually
in here because he
looking
doesn't want
at
to overpeak even the slightest.
big window here. Also able to hold, of course, the Monty over in the dining room area, but anyone who tries to jump through the window, taken out by Chala. He also has good cover here behind these boxes in the computer room. He's also relatively safe. It's just difficult in order to get into that position.
Amount that would give away his head
For
or another
the,
crucial body part to an
attackers.
enemy.
So
You
he's
see
able
some
to
of these
just go
very
prone there and
close-cut
safely
angles that
just
TSM are
peek
trying to
big
hold for
window,
themselves here.
because he
Temple are
knows
very
that
much
they
aware of the
opened a
fact
big
that TSM are doing
window
that
and
because
that
they
they might be
themselves did the same
preparing to
exact
jump
thing
in.
and their hand was forced onto this site back in the last half. Not a whole lot of forward progress, unfortunately, being made though by Tempo Storm, as both their Monty and their players are trying to push upstairs are stuck. That's going to change now though. Mark finds a very nice frag grenade.
So, they have this wall open in order to get an angle on the big window, better one. Also, it's just not very necessary for this part to be reinforced. They're not trying to prevent any plant, they're trying to prevent someone from hopping in and getting an advantage. So, if he ever needs cover, he just gets behind this bed. That's it. It's very shallow. Usually you'll reinforce this though, because when you are playing in here, you are trying to this bed as cover in order to help peak attic area, and that reinforcing this half helps. In this case, it's unnecessary, so you leave it soft. You're going to look through there, and you're going to use this bed as cover, because the most important vertical hole that you need is this one right here, and that was right above the Monty's head over in kitchen.
Grenade lineup against Geo.
So we got 2 of them. We got Bolo and Chala on
Is able to
ready to
delete
take
him
out
before he can
anyone
find the
who
appropriate
pushes
impact. This
through the
opens up
big
actually
window.
nothing, unfortunately, for creators to push
Kind
into
of
it.
waiting. Bolo checking his vertical hole once
Because
again.
he just ends up walking
Able to
into a
get an easy
crossfire.
kill on
Bolo, the
creators.
one to find the ultimate kill against him from upstairs here. Once again, it's that lack of vertical control that's killing
Bolo
the
gets
attacking team.
challenged off of the white stairs, and he's able to take him out.
Although they are trading it and have kept it even. Now in a 3v3
Mark
with
takes him
Mark's
out,
most
though,
recent
again.
kill.
Still plenty of time on the board. Still have hard destruction as well. That's extremely important. They need to try and get some lines of sight established so they can get this diffuser down. They have upstairs control now in the hands of Dream. He's going to have to be very successful. Otherwise, this is going TSM's way. They've already had Chala rotate into kitchen. They need this verticality to pay off. But it's Chala that gets it paid back in spades. But the exothermic charge will still go off. 2 versus 3 is going to be a drop into sight. But Chala picks up another one. Can he go for 3 with the M590? Pojo, man! Oh my, no. It's going to be achieved. I was going to say Poj, always telling everybody to trust that M590. Almost went for 3, but instead he just scatters a couple of that buckshot into his body as Achieved cleans up that last round. And it's going to be 7-5 victory for TSM.
Last desperate
with
attempt
6
in order
rounds in
to
a row.
try and take and push, but it just doesn't work out. There wasn't enough map control